Hello, everyone. So, today I'm going to talk a little bit about some things that I've experienced in my quest to become an aquarium hobbyist. Now, I'm fairly new to the hobby. I guess I've been doing it for about a year. It started with some koi that I had gotten for a small little pond outside. And of course, one thing led to another. The koi got big, and then winter came, and I brought them inside. So I got them a big giant tank for inside, and then they grew even bigger. And eventually, they were too big for the tank inside. So I wanted to build them a big giant pond outside. Well, winter came around again, and I couldn't put them outside because the pond wasn't ready. So I bought them a pool. And right now they're outside in a pool, and they've gotten tremendous. And they're doing pretty good. I built I would say, what you might call a cabana around the pool, and I try to keep the water temperature at about 50 degrees. I add some warm water once in a while just to keep it at about that. They seem to be doing pretty good. I also, as I add that warmer water, it kind of serves as a little bit of a water change, and my parameters seem to stay pretty good. Now I have actually have two canister filters out there that are running at the same time, one into another, back into the pond, and I guess the bacteria has grown enough to balance out pretty good. So right now they do pretty good out there. Now, what happened was I ended up getting a couple of tanks to accommodate those guys. But once those guys were outside, I, as you can see, got some other fish in here. And I have freshwater tanks. And I have, in this tank, we have a couple of different kinds of glowfish. I thought they were pretty cool. I'm not exactly sure, now that I've had them for a while, I tend to think that I'm not really too sure. There's a couple of things I really don't like about the glowfish. One of them is, first of all, I hardly ever put the blue light on and have them glow, because if you really look at some of them, their eyes are also have that luminescence to it. And I can just imagine what it would be like to have a luminescent eye and then have a black light or a blue light go on, and literally your eye must be, glowing inside your head, like, so you probably can't see anything, and all you see is like a super bright neon glow. So I think that's a little terrible for the fish, and I think I'm going to slowly move away from the glowfish guys. Now this tank here, you can probably see, is just, I don't know if you can see that, but there's just a ton of trumpet snails that have just taken over my tank, which I don't really mind, actually, because I kind of take them out of there and I put them in some of my other tanks. I do have ram's horns in here and a few narites, but this tank seems to be doing pretty good. And one of the things that I have a little bit of a beef, or not a beef, but it's something that happens to me, and I get very frustrated, is everybody seems to do real good. All my fish are doing good. And right there I'm setting up a new rack system, because like I said, it went from a couple of little baby koi guys to now all of a sudden I have mollies in that tank with shrimp. I have glow cory catfish and guppies in that tank, and then in this tank I have the babies that are now grown up, obviously, of some goldfish and stuff that I had with my koi guys. But these guys have always just, once they were born, I kind of put them in this tank in here. Now, I don't know if you can see, but I always seem to have a problem with something, is like the fish seem to they're doing great, okay? Here's another small molly tank where those other mollies came from, and you can see that there's a ton of shrimp in there, and there's just the baby mollies everywhere. I mean, they were just breeding like crazy. So they seem to be doing really good, but every once in a while, I'll just get like a problem. One of my fish will just not be doing too good, and you could just tell by looking at them that they're just not acting the same. And I'll show you one thing in here that has been, I mean, this guy's been like this for like a month now. Now, I don't know exactly what happened, but if you can see that purple guy in the middle there, you see how he kind of is bobbing up and down compared to the other guys? I don't know where he went now. There he is up there. You see him? Now, he was doing real bad at one point. I took him out and I put him in a separate tank. Now, I don't know if I try to keep an eye on all my parameters, and I try to keep my pHs around 7, maybe a little higher. I tend to keep it a little higher because it seems to me like I was having problems with my mollies, and you can see, like, there's a bunch of smaller mollies in there that were babies, and they all seem to be doing good. I don't see anybody, dead or anything. They all seem to be, you can see those black mollies are just constantly pregnant. You can see this one up here. Look at that fatty right there. So she must be ready to have some kids. And then over here, these are my glow Cory guys, which I only had I think originally I had bought like 6 of them, 2 here, 2 there, whatever. And they were doing pretty good, but they weren't really multiplying or anything. And I kind of realized that what was happening is they were plastering their eggs on the glass and stuff, but because they were originally in this tank. So what they were doing is they were putting their eggs all over the glass and stuff, but these guys were eating the eggs. So I never got any little baby ones, and I was like, what's going on? And then one day I realized that that's what was happening. The barbs and the tetras and stuff, actually I think it's mostly those tiger barbs, were eating the babies. So I separated the big fat chunky Cory guys that I had left out, put them in another little tank, and all of a sudden they start having babies. And so you can see, like, there's the little guy there, now I don't know, there must be like 20 of them in there. So from 6, I got 20. And if you notice, the same thing is happening with these guppy guys. You see the guppies there, but you could probably see up there, I don't know if you can actually see them, but you can stay there. So you can see, like, there's some little guys floating around there. There's little guys down there, and so they're doing real good too, and they're multiplying in there, which I love. It makes me think that everything's doing good. I have just a ton of shrimp in all of my tanks, and what happened was I originally had them in this tank, and I don't know if you can see, but there's quite a lot of shrimp in there. And what happened was they also it seemed like they weren't really multiplying or anything, and then I went to go clean out my fluval filter and noticed that there was a zillion shrimp living in the filter, and that's when all of a sudden it seemed like they were everywhere. And then this tank here, I don't know if I have my, let me see if I can hit them with the, well, you might be able to see. I mean, there's just quite a bit of shrimp in here too. And in this baby molly tank over here, you can see that there's, they're pretty much everywhere. Now, I have another guppy tank in another room that is also the same thing. The guppies seem to be doing good. They're having babies. The shrimp are going crazy in there too. But one of the problems I have is that I always seem to, like, everybody's doing good, and then all of a sudden, there's a problem. Now, what I have here is, I have 2 of those goldfish guys that are in this little hospital tank going. You can see them down there. And they have seem to have developed, well, I don't want to mess with them too much. They seem to have developed a little bit of cloudy eye. Now, of course, most of my information I get from YouTube. I look everything up, and you know, there's a million, and I guess that's part of one of the things I was going to complain about. You can look up something, and there's a million different videos that will tell you a million different things, and it's kind of frustrating because you don't know which one you should listen to. Now, obviously, they all say the same thing. Oh, you know, we take no responsibility in anything that we're telling you to do. And I get that. But it would be nice if there was some sort of, I don't know, some sort of stable information out there about anything that has to do with fish. Now, also, you can see I have one little fish here, and if you, I don't know if you'll be able to see, if I can get him or her. There she is. She has, he has a little, I don't know, I'm not sure what, if you would call it dropsy, but her tail end seems to be more buoyant than the rest of her. So she has a tendency to, or he has a tendency for his tail to float up, and he kind of hangs head down. So I have him in this little thing so he doesn't get whacked around too much. And I put this little bit of my yarn mop in there so that he or she has something to kind of get under. You can see she stays under there and can stay down a little bit. And she's pretty quiet right now. Now, if I let her out in the tank, she'll swim around quite a bit. But eventually she'll kind of float tail up and possibly get whacked around a little bit too. So I'm not too thrilled with that. So I kind of want to keep her in there for now. Now, I just added some aquarium salt, which I've never done before. I sometimes give one or two, if there's a problem, like she'll get a little aquarium salt bath real quick, a couple of seconds, maybe even 30 seconds or so, not a lot of salt in there, and then I'll put her back in there or in the other. And she was doing it real good one time. But again, it seems to be a recurring thing with that one fish. Now, I'm not sure if you can see, but there is another a white one in here. There, right there. Let me see if I can get. Yeah, I don't know if you can see that one, but right there, and kind of hangs out at the top a little bit. Doesn't really, I mean, it's very noticeable that it's not not doing what the other fish do. So one of the problems I have is that, number one, there's not, well, I don't want to say there's not a lot. There's a ton of videos on YouTube and stuff, but it seems like there's half of the videos on YouTube are just people who don't really explain what to. Now, you can see here's some, these four here are from that tank there. So my ammonia was a little bit up. Now, I just took guppies and my Cory catfish guys out of this tank a couple of days ago and switched them over to that newer tank. So they seem to be doing a lot better. And usually my water parameters are usually pretty good. But today I decided to test that because I was going to actually move some of my mollies from that tank over to that tank, because I've noticed that in that tank there's Hydra. I have Hydra, and I can't stand those things. So I was going to bring some of those mollies, put them in there, and hopefully they'll eat up the Hydras. But I wanted to check the water first, of course, and I noticed that it was a little bit high on the ammonia, which is a little strange because usually that tank is really good. Now, I might have stirred up the bottom a little bit when I took out the Corys and stuff. There was a lot of whatever they call that, malm or whatever on the bottom. So I might have stirred up some, and that might have contributed to that. So I did a big giant water change today. I'm going to test the water again in a little bit. And if it looks good, I'm going to take a few of these guys, a few of these molly guys, and I'm going to put them in there.